It's Thursday. This is an exciting time to be here. Hope everybody's doing well. Bitcoin right now, as I speak, is 6% away from an all-time high. And it's doing kind of well. It's around, it's over $2,000 higher than it was when I did this yesterday, which is crazy. Dominance 53%. Again, as I mentioned, Bitcoin is like 69,500. Fear and greed is at 73. And this is a story of how things have changed so fast. And billions of dollars, billions, are going to start advertising our bags, which is unthinkable. The Panda Olympics is coming. I just made that word up. I don't know if it means anything. Anyway, I'm excited. And a shout out to Ali Shah, Reinvent, just joined Patreon and looking forward to exciting stuff ahead. Yes, it will be exciting. The future is very exciting. Before we jump in to the news, then the charts, then the ETF status, I want to share this with you. Bitcoin monthly returns. And I did change a couple of little things in this chart. One is the green highlights the year we are in, which is also the year of the bull market. We are now up 14.3% for the month of May, and that has deleted the 14% loss in the month of April. And it's been an incredible year so far with a 44% gain back in Feb. Solar Bitcoin Coffee, thank you so much for coming. But again, cast your eyes on how, always remember, this time is different. It is not the same as previous cycles. It's up higher, it's up earlier, but there's also a lot more money coming in, which we'll get to. First of all, let's talk about the Bitcoin news. This is fun. This is from Bitcoin Magazine, and there was a peer-reviewed study from OSF Registries, I think it was, and they found that Bitcoin owners score significantly higher on financial literacy, aka and a lot of people have actually skipped university, but they are wiser than those that went to university. But they are also very slow to trust governments and to trust what governments tell them to do, which is fascinating. So well done. If you are a Bitcoiner, you are more financially literate than the average person. Speaking of governments, this is part of what I'm talking about today. And we've been talking a lot over the last week, 10 days, about how this massive pivot has actually happened. Thank you, Zeno, for coming. The Biden administration warms up to crypto after trying to kill it. And this is from the block. Now they're reaching out to all the crypto folks in the know. It's like, how can we learn about this magical stuff that we tried to kill? Now we want in. Okay, that is just such a crazy pivot. We knew eventually, we always talk about Bitcoin being the cockroach you can't kill. But here we are. It's bonkers. But there's a lot more. You can't make this stuff up. All of a sudden, the Biden administration announces a presidential delegation to go to El Salvador. Okay, El Salvador is Bitcoin country. And now they're going to hang out with His Excellency Nayib Bukele. Guess what they're going to talk about? Yeah, you guessed it. Hudson the dog, thank you for coming as well. But there's more. This is going to be the first ever crypto election. The political and financial establishments have woken up to Bitcoin. And this was a prerequisite to mainstream adoption. And now we are just about there. We have arrived, everybody. All of us crazy folks who got into this early, that were mocked and ridiculed by many. Now, the floodgates will open. So well done for being here. And there's more. It's one of those videos where there's going to be a lot more. Bloomberg, or is it Bloopberg? I'm not sure how to spell that. But just in, Elon Musk, Donald Trump are discussing crypto policy as Trump highlights Bitcoin and other digital assets as a way to reach new voters. From Bloomberg. Weird. But then, this is the actual article. I dug it up from Bloomberg. Bloomberg, Musk counsels Trump on crypto in sign of billionaire's influence. Trump campaign discusses having Musk speak at convention. That is very possible. But billionaires talk about Musk's business interests, including EVs. Then all of a sudden, fake. Maybe fake, maybe part true, etc. We don't know, but let's dig into what Elon Musk just said. Now, there's a couple of important points here. One, Elon Musk just said Today, May 30th, 2024. I'm pretty sure I've never discussed crypto with Trump, although I am generally in favor of things that can shift power from government to the people, which crypto can do. That is so important. So maybe the Trump campaign wants Elon Musk as an advisor, but they haven't mentioned it to him yet. And Elon Musk is definitely not advising Trump on crypto, perhaps yet. Either way, it's headlines, it's in Bloomberg, but there's more. Wall Street Journal, they print some other stuff too. This is published by CNBS. If former President Trump wins the election, he is considering some kind of advisory role for Elon Musk, Wall Street Journal reports. Again, more aligned stuff. So where there is smoke, there is fire. And I can tell you, there is a lot of smoke around this. And Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg, could they have it all wrong? Probably not. Probably there is some smoke. But anyway, the big point of all of this is you've got the two sides scrambling to embrace this thing called Bitcoin and crypto as quickly as they possibly can. And I want to make it very clear, because there's people on the left that don't like the right, and there's people on the right that don't like the left. I'm bang in the middle. I don't care either way. What I do care about is this, okay? To be clear, I care for this because this is the best ad for crypto ever, okay? The pandering from the left, last minute, and even the right is interesting. But what is really, really interesting is the left was led by the anti-crypto army, led by Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler, and now it's giving them a black eye. The question I have for everybody is, can you win an election without embracing crypto? And the answer is, no you can't. So get on the board, get on the train, whatever. It's part of freedom, and it's a big part of the United States. But the other thing that's very important, I think the spending, last presidential election, if I'm not mistaken, was $14 billion was spent. Blazo, thank you so much. $14 billion. All right. And they pump typically no more than 2 or 3 different campaign slogans. Crypto, freedom will be one of those. Okay. So think of it like a $14 billion advertising campaign from the office of Bitcoin. Now, left chart is, yes, Bitcoin will be key for politics. And 2, if you ask me which party, I think it's the party of decentralization, okay? Bitcoin for president is where I stand. So I want that to be very clear. I don't want to heat anybody up from any particular party. I like honesty, I like truth, and there are 2 things you cannot find today in politics. Hopefully, Bitcoin can shine a ray of disinfecting light, which is another funny joke from the past, on to politics. That is my hope. Anyway, back to more news. Bitcoin chart time. Sorry for that. It's just too important not to spend a few minutes on. All right, let's talk about this. Record, not a record, but 12 straight days of inflows. Not bad for where we are. Thank you, Investing KO. Again, we started the day one with 1,049 Bitcoin being sucked from the system, and we finished it yesterday with 420 Bitcoin being sucked from the system. And as I talk, Bitcoin is $2,000 higher than yesterday, which means there is some buying action happening right now. Could we get a 13-day? We'll know later today. I'll report it. Follow me on Patreon and you get the full report as soon as the news breaks. So let's hope for 13. Now, in other crazy news too, IBIT, BlackRock's Bitcoin Trust. Remember, there's 9 of them. IBIT is the fastest ETF ever to $20 billion. JP there is 985. Took 1,000 days for them to get to 20 billion. IBIT did it in 137 days. If you calculate the number of trading days, they did it in 95 trading days. That shows you how many holidays there are and weekends and everything else. 137 days translates to only 95 days the market is open. It's bonkers. I always joke because you go people tell your grandchildren, when you were younger, you used to be living in a time when the markets were only open 6.5 hours a day or something ridiculous and closed at the weekends. But that's all going to change as well as we go forward. Shout out to Sean Donnelly and TND Tesla and K8 in the chat and Anjo and everybody for becoming. Forgot to mention that. Too excited. I did warn you. Now, Goldman Sachs. Okay, they were a little bit non-believer-ish in Bitcoin. They are flabbergasted. Goldman Sachs says the Bitcoin ETF has been an astonishing success. and they are sad they are not on the train, but believe me, they're getting on the train, and they will be advising their clients to get on the train too. The point is, we are still early. We see crazy charts like this, but remember, Bitcoin is scarce. It's the hardest asset ever to hit this planet. That's why it's fascinating to people like me. Now, this is another bonker stat. I just thought I'd share it, and just for perspective as to how hard this is. All right, we're in epoch number 5. Okay, after the 4th halving, there will only be 656,000 Bitcoin released over the next 4 years. Okay, only 656,000 Bitcoin. 570,000 of them, 87%, were already sucked into the new ETFs in 96 trading days. Think about that for a second. 4 years worth taken in 96 days. 4 years worth. If that doesn't spell hardness to you, I don't know what does. That is a bonker statistic. But there's more. We are now in the 5th great bull run for Bitcoin. This from Aurelian Ohayon. And they have a target of $250,000. And we are here. It's right there. We are going higher, ladies and gentlemen. How high, we do not know. But higher it is. And we are on the 5th bull run. But again, this time is different. This is now a political issue. This is now harder than ever. And there's more money coming in than ever before. There could not be a more perfect setup in my mind. But what do I know? I'm just a guy on the internet. And another adoption news. And I did mention that a lot of people haven't even come yet. I'll prove that with another chart in a second. But Bitcoin addresses did surpass. These are non-zero balance addresses from the team at Glassnode. The positive balances now surpass 52.5 million users and very strong growth since 2020. Ecosystem added, I think, around 11 or 12 million addresses with non-zero balances since 2020. Not huge, considering you have chains out there with more than 2 million daily active users. But Bitcoin's a little bit different, but that is big. I'm hoping in the next 2 years or so we'll get to 100 million users, and that will have a huge impact as well. But remember, the calculus of Bitcoin has changed with these ETFs. As I mentioned, the next 4 years of issuance, in 96 days, 87% was gobbled up by 9 new ETFs. That is a flabbergasting statistic that you will hear nowhere but here. Anyway, let's talk about this, how retail still has not arrived. And I'll show you another indicator too. This is the Google search for the last 5 years for the term Bitcoin. All right? It's 0. It's flatlined on the Richter scale. It would be like one of those medical things going beep, and retail is still not here, which is stunning. This is still an institutional game, all ETFs. And another proof, I wish I had a global map of this, but I don't. But I do have the ETF buyers so far for these 9 new ETFs across just the United States. And to prove that retail is not on board, this is where there is all the action. Obviously, the left and right coasts. Very little up in Washington and Oregon. I was a bit stunned by that. But where the people are not on the train, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, New Mexico, Vermont, Maine, very low. Unless, of course, they're very early adopters and they've got their hard bags already packed in hard wallets and they don't buy the ETF. That's also possible. But the big ETF buyers, all concentrated in the left and right coast, a little bit in the Midwest, not too much, and most of it out of New York. But that's where all the big funds tend to be as well. And the funds were buying about 40% of all of this ETF so far. And another 40% is the retail investors, then pensions, etc. I broke that down before, and I'll update that chart again soon. So that is an important thing. So hope everybody is on the train. Everybody needs a piece of this. And this is another cool report from the team at Fidelity. And people, don't say I am hating on Ethereum. I am not. I'm just sharing the report that came out from Fidelity comparing Bitcoin to Ethereum. And Simply Bitcoin reported today on X. And that is the supply. There is a fixed supply of 21 million as a reminder. and the Ethereum supply it can potentially go to infinity. And again, that speaks to the hardness of what Bitcoin is. And one other thing for the Gen Zers out there, this is a very important chart to be aware of. To be clear, I also care about younger generations. And the message here to Gen Z is simple. You're not too late for Bitcoin, but you're far too late for fiat money. All right. The pace at which global debt is going through the roof is insane. $226 trillion. So I asked myself, what does that mean in terms of Bitcoin? Easy way to think about it is that is exactly 173.85 times the amount of Bitcoin market cap. There is 174 times the amount of debt than there is the size of Bitcoin. That means there's a lot of upside. In simple terms, you're not too late. Nobody's too late. And another related adjacent Bitcoin news, MicroStrategy tomorrow has been added to the MSCI. And that should bring in a very big perpetual bid for MicroStrategy. It'll also mean that a lot of people will indirectly own, if they own an index fund, they're going to probably be owning some MicroStrategy too. So they'll be Bitcoiners whether they like it or not. Again, there's no putting this toothpaste back in the tube. And this is the max pain for tomorrow. Options expire tomorrow. And we have about 40 minutes left of the trading day today. MicroStrategy has been all over the place, up to 1,700, down to 1,600. And the max pain price about 1,560. So expect some volatility, but also expect some good action tomorrow, I believe, if things work out. There'll be a Bitcoin-only playlist here after the video, if that's all you're interested in. And let's talk about these puppies that sucked in 87% of the next 4 years of issuance in 96 days. I gotta tweet that out later. It's just too important. Let's go. Day 96 in the bag. And it was a positive day, but only slightly, up 28.4. Cast your eyes on Grayscale. They had a negative 31 million. But that was gobbled up by IBIT. Again, my theory, it's like the Black Mirror. whatever Grayscale dumps BlackRock buy, it's like a straight transfer. It's if there's a little courier on a bicycle with a big bag of Bitcoin just taking it from one shop to the other. That's my theory, and I'm sticking with it. Let's talk about the macro update, what it looks like after 96 days. Again, BlackRock did have a weak day. The dumpage from Grayscale was smaller than normal. It could be a 0 day today, given that trend. And that was the biggest dumpage we had from Grayscale for quite some time. But anyway, overall, it's good. And the week is mixed. Tuesdays, Wednesdays tend to be the best days. And today is Thursday. Could be a good day. Bitcoin is pumping. Let me check on the Bitcoin price, actually. 69.2. It's fallen about 150, 200 bucks since I started. But that's okay. It's a volatile beast. Still up 2,000 since I did this yesterday. Money flow, 12 positive days. Hope we get 13 later today. Will depend on Grayscale. If Grayscale does a big $100 million dump, that could put that in jeopardy. So we'll watch that very carefully. 12 days is good. Last time we had so many positive days was down back in day 15 onwards. So that is a new record over the last 3 months or so. So not bad. 569,500 Bitcoin in the new ETFs. Nearly 300,000 in BlackRock. They will be getting to 300,000 pretty soon, I imagine. 324,000 Bitcoin have left the Grayscale building. 324. And of those, about 290,000 of them went into BlackRock with a little bicycle courier cycling across New York City or whatever they do. Anyway, Grayscale still under trend. Look, watch that pink line. They could get back to a 0 today. They do tend to have those big dumpage days, 100 million. I don't know if that's going to continue. It is bleeding out, and most are typically gone at this stage. But the trickle out will begin, and that's okay because the others need to absorb it. But one day it will be gone. And for those of you who like the number 420 Bitcoin on the nose were sucked from the system yesterday, which is almost a daily issuance of 450 Bitcoin. So it was a quiet day, but still, these 9 new ETFs are sucking in all the issuance, which is stunning to think about. If you had asked me back in January of this year, would these 9 new ETFs be sucking in daily issuance every day after the halving? I say, no way. But they've done a hell of a lot more than that. So Hope you like the content. Hope you like the best Bitcoin ad ever. 14, maybe $20 billion of campaigning money. We'll be talking about crypto and how, as these candidates pander for your vote, they'll be saying how important it is that they will protect your rights, because they'll tell you what you want to hear. So either way, it will put this stuff on the radar, which helps us all. So thank you all for coming. See you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.